Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is a bit of an improvised episode. I actually bought a new Mac Mini. It's here, just down there, new Mac Mini M4 Pro. The previous computer is a 2019 iMac, so it's an Intel i9 with a 5K screen. And the episode is all about darktable and how, what kind of gains we can expect from a new computer. So I'm going to make a parallel in the light table, the dark room, the export times between the two computers and see what kind of performance we're actually going to get from the two computers. I'm very sorry. I cannot do this episode in French. I don't have the time to do it. So this is only for English speaking people because the iMac has to go back to Apple. It's the trading program and I need to do this today. Okay, well, I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoy it. Now, before I get into darktable and start the testing, I ran a Geekbench 6 on, this is, so the iMac, you have all the information, the 2019 single core score, multi-core score. This is just for comparison, the theoretical comparison. And if you want the information, the actual results, I'll scroll down, and if you want to pause and read them. So the thing I have now is an i9 with 40 gigs of RAM. There we are. So that is the actual machine I'm using at the moment. It's a 27-inch iMac, and here are the single scores. They are, just if you want to pause and look at them. I'm not sure what to do with them really personally, but there we are. It's just as a comparison. And there we have the multi-core scores. So there we are for my previous machine. Now, for comparison's sake, too, I ran the same Geekbench 6 on the GPU with OpenCL settings. So we have the OpenCL score here, 34,590, with the details if you're interested in the actual details here for comparison's sake. So there we have for the iMac testing on Geekbench 6. Okay, so here I am on the new Mac. The Geekbench 6 scores are here, 3,900 compared to 1,600 and 22,500 compared to 7,000. So we are about 3 times faster. So it is an Apple M4 Pro with 48 gigs of RAM. And if you want the single core scores, which are here, if you want to compare with the previous ones, and the multi-core scores, are here. So I'll let you pause, go back and forth if you want to do some precise comparisons. Let's have a look at the GPU score. So here we have the OpenCL score on the GPU, 63,000, which is about twice the score of the GPU score, which was 34,590. And if you want to look at the details of the OpenCL performance, there we have them if you want to go backwards and forwards and compare. So let's start the test in the light table then. So I've loaded a folder containing 752 photos, which was a whole shoot. It was a day out in Paris doing street photography. So that's a good test folder for this computer. So I'm on the Intel 2019 iMac 27-inch. So if what I can show you first is in the light table. I am not using the raw here for the thumbnail. I have high quality processing from size 720. I've enabled the disk backend for the thumbnail cache, so it will stock the thumbnails on the hard drive, and I've enabled the smooth scrolling. I also enable it to generate the thumbnails in background. So that's it for the light table. So if I scroll, I have smooth scrolling. What I'd like to see is if all the thumbnails appear. And you see we seem to do it quite well. We have a little bit of weighting there. I'm scrolling through the whole lot. So altogether, not too bad. If I stop, there we are. If I do a big scroll and stop, I get all the thumbnails quite quickly. So that's not too bad. So into Darktable with the new Mac Mini. I did a migration assistant from one computer to the other. It was flawless. It was easy. I just had to give some permissions to record the screen. Some apps had to get the permissions reset. I had to enter a couple of passwords to get everything working, and quite honestly, it was flawless. For Darktable, as I was on Intel, and this is an M4, what I did is I downloaded the version of Darktable for the M processors, and I just copied it over previous ones, and it's running flawlessly. All the shortcuts, everything has been saved, and I'm reusing it. So here I am in the light table. The settings are exactly the same, and just the scrolling test. You see, I have smooth scrolling on, and whereas on the previous computer you could see some working, you can barely see them now. If I go very fast, there's absolutely nothing. Look at this scroll, there's 700 photos. We're actually going through them so easily. So this light table is absolutely perfect now. It's working fabulously well. Now, to get into the swing of things with Darktable, I've opened a terminal here, and I'm going to type in / applications Darktable. So I do tabulate to kind of do the completion. Contents, macOS, Darktable -D perf. And this will give me kind of a log of the performances of Darktable in the terminal. So I'll be able to measure some of the times it takes to do certain tasks in Darktable. So I'm back on my folder with the 752 photos, and in processing, I have OpenCL activated, I have allocated large resources, and I have default OpenCL scheduling profile. Now, I did some tests, and on this Mac, this is, for me, the fastest. Now, if I click on prefer performance over quality, I can't see much difference. And if I do use all device memory, theoretically I get slightly better results. But the problem is, if I do that, then while I'm exporting, the Mac freezes, and I can't do anything. It just blocks the machine, and I'm not interested in that. So that's for the preferences. Now let's go down to an image I chose for the stress tests. Down here, let's get down to it. So you can see how the light table is working. It's not too bad. One of the color images, there we are, this one here. So I've chosen this one to do a couple of tests. What have I done to the image so far? Absolutely not much. Just a basic color balance. I kept the exposure as default, Filmic is default, so there's really not much done to the picture. What I'd like to do is test two things. Is what the speed of the processing is like when I start introducing diffuse and sharpen. And then I want to test the export times, because those are the two kind of actions I use frequently, which do give me some kind of problems. Now I'm going to, I do have problems with redrawing here sometimes, you see. There we are. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to get rid of the left panel. So that was Shift Command L. So we have a little bit of real estate. And here I have lots of times coming in the pixel pipeline. So there we are. Now, just as a test, I'm going to go to exposure, and I'm going to move the exposure up. And we'll see how long that took. So we have the histogram. That's not what we want. It's this line here. It processed the image in 0.462 seconds. That was just for exposure. let's go now and test. I'm going to reset that. And you see I have 0.444 seconds. So that is kind of pretty fast. Now let's go into diffuse and sharpen. And I'm going to use the standard dehaze. Now standard dehaze, you can see it's working here. 10 iterations, I could have opened that. 10 iterations. And it took 7.4441 seconds to do that, the diffuse and sharpen. Now let's test another one. If we go to the presets, another one I use quite often is local contrast. So local contrast, it's working. And it took 4.9, no, here we have it, 7.491 seconds. So that's I'll just write this down, 7.4 seconds. Okay, keep track of that. Now, what happens, the issue I have, sorry, it's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to remove the time. I don't want to time everything I do. Now, you do have a problem with this redrawing, you see. I'm interested to see if on the new Mac, I still have this. I have to resize the screen for it to draw. What the issues I have with using diffuse and sharpen is usually I want to use it locally. So I want to make a mask. So I'll go to a drawn mask here, and let's say I just want to do something around. I don't want to leave the background. So I want to make kind of a large mask. So let's make a large mask around there. And there's a bit of a slowing down there. You can see at the bottom of the screen, or in the middle of the screen there, sometimes we'll have the working here with the working here that comes on. So I make a rough mask. And then if I want to modify the mask, then I do have kind of, it does slow, it's much slower to use. It's not as fluid. If I press on M to actually see the mask, there we are, working again, you see. So that's a bit slow. All in all, it's painful to use because I'm still waiting for the mask, you see, because it's probably going to take 7 seconds just to produce the mask. There we are, and I have it. Now I want to feather the mask, or I want to modify it, and now it's working. So usually what I do is I move the number of iterations down to 1, because you can't try putting 0, which means, oh, there we are. I thought I'd actually tried that, it didn't work. So 0 iterations, the minimum, and now you see I get some kind of speed back. Although it's not as fast as if it was doing kind of nothing. So let's say I want to feather that mask a little bit. And it is workable. If I press on Shift and the mouse wheel to kind of move the feather up a little bit at the top. So all in all, kind of difficult to do, not very pleasant. Press on M, get rid of the mask. And then usually I go back up to 10 iterations, let's say, and I'll remove the actual dotted lines. There we are. And then I get now I have the diffuse and sharpen, which is just on the lower part. So all in all, slow. It's still working here, you see. So this is all in real time. And there we are, that's done. And the problem I'm going to have now, if I can kind of go back to this kind of a smaller version of the screen, there we are, adjust it a little bit. If I now want to change the exposure a little bit, there we are. If I want to change the exposure, what's it going to take? 5 seconds. 5 seconds just to change the exposure. No, it's still on it. 5.4 seconds just for a small adjustment. So what I'd have to do is remove the diffuse and sharpen. You see, then I can change exposure. That goes back to 0.4 seconds, and then switch on the diffuse and sharpen again. And that is my workaround. So all in all, not very pleasant. So back to, I've quit Darktable, I've opened up a terminal, and exactly the same as on the previous computer. There we are, I have I'm launching, so it's darktable. It's a 4.9 version actually, this one. So it's not one of the stable versions. Let's get down to, sorry, that's not, oh, the click's not perfect. And 752 images. Now I've had to reset the history on this because as it was on an external hard drive, you see how pleasant it is just to scroll down and see the images straight away. I've had to reset the history on this completely. So here we have absolutely nothing done. I'm going to enable color balance RGB with some standard. As for the rest, there's absolutely nothing done. I haven't actually done this. This is live because I don't have much time today for this video. I wanted to get it out quite quickly. So the first thing I did, let's resize this. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller if you don't mind. Let's get some real estate back. So Command Shift L to get rid of the left bar, which is a bit useless. There is, to be honest, there is one difference maybe in the rendering on the screen, which could make a difference. Is that the iMac is a 5K screen, and here I'm on a 4K screen, so that might influence the processing times, at least on the screen, somewhat. We tried exposure, I think, to start with. And if I remember correctly, we had 0.4 seconds. So let's change that. And I have 0.134 seconds. I'm expecting everything to be 3 times faster because that is what the Geekbench scores gave me. I'm actually hoping that export will be much, much faster than that. So I actually have high hopes for this. So 0.134 seconds on the basic image. 0.138, that is quite consistent. Okay, now let's get to diffuse and sharpen. We'll go into dehaze. Now it took 7.4 seconds to do, and it took 2 seconds here. So 3 times 2, 6. We're not far off. A difference of times 3 or divided by 3. Dehaze now, and it's done local contrast. Took 7 seconds as well, so it should take 2 seconds. 2.44, no, 466 seconds. So that's quite consistent. The thing I did with local contrast was to make a mask. Now I'm going to hide this, get the image about that size. I have 10 iterations working, and the thing I found annoying was working on a mask on the diffuse and sharpen module. Now this seems to be very fluid, much more fluid than on the previous computer. Let's just get a big mask around here, right click and switch on the mask. Now it is working, we have the working here. So can we work with this live or, oh, okay. So we have to go back to doing 1 iteration. Okay, I'm a bit disappointed with that. Maybe I'm expecting too much because this module does so much work. So maybe I have to go to 0 here, no iterations, and now I should have everything as fluid as possible. Usually what I do is actually 1 iteration. I'm not actually sure if we could put 0, whether it actually changes much. I'm not sure how the internals work, whether 0 iterations are actually possible. If I make the mask a bit smaller, so it is quite workable with that. It's not too bad. It's faster, but the idea, you see, you get me, is that if you're using diffuse and sharpen with 10 iterations, you get the settings right. And then if you want to use a mask, put the iterations down to 1 or to 0, get the mask right. When the mask is right, remove the mask. This is a workaround really to get this module working. Right click, put the 10 iterations, and there it's working. And that's when it takes, well, 2 seconds on one computer, 7 seconds on another. Now, the next test I did was to test exposure. Sorry, I want to move this down here. Is I have diffuse and sharpen on 10 iterations. And now I want to change some other settings on the image while diffuse and sharpen is on. And this took 5 seconds to change exposure. And here, what do I have? 2.6. Going down. 2 seconds, 2.6. There we have. That's about it. So the idea is still when you have the diffuse and sharpen modules are the last ones to put on, and if you're using them and you want to, let's say, modify a mask, modify anything else on the image, then the idea is to switch those off, and then you make your changes, which are extremely fast. 0.1 seconds for that. You see, quite fast, 0.1 seconds. And then when you've done all your modifications, you go back and you switch on your diffuse and sharpen, and that takes 2.5 seconds. So everything is faster. We're not kind of real time yet. Maybe on my next computer in 5 years' time, we'll see. Okay, so I've reset the diffuse and sharpen. I'm going to put on some sharpen demosaicing no AA filter. I will add on an extra module, an extra instance, which I will use for deblur lens medium. I'm going to add on another one, which is just dehaze. Right, so that is a lot of work. So it's working now to get that done. I'm expecting it to take a little while to process the image. The image is processed there. No, I'm not going to zoom on that. Go back to the light table. Ooh, we have the spinning wheel. Not good. That's not good. There we are, we have it there. And now I'm going to export that. I have the settings here, JPEG 90, the quality of the JPEG. I haven't changed much else. I'm in sRGB, no size. So it's a full resolution 40 megapixel image. I'm going to export that. So I'm starting there, exporting 1:1 file to disk. And this will take a while, so I'm going to actually pause the video and I'll show you the results when it's actually all done. Right, so we're back on the exporting times. It actually took 156 seconds to do that. And if you have a look here, we have some times, 76 seconds for the diffuse and sharpen one. 3 seconds for the first, 76 for the second, 71 for the third. So all in all, that's quite a long time. Complete time, 156 seconds to export that. Now I'm going to go back to this and just export 15 photos here with the same settings. There's been nothing done to this, so to these images, so they are straight imported from the card to the drive, just to see if you've got basic editing, what you can expect, what times you can expect. So let's export those, and it's exporting 2:15. Then we have the numbers going up here, and let's see, I might have to pause this video too, and come back when all the exports are done. There we are. All the exporting is done. We have all together, if I come back and make this a little bit bigger, we have the exporting times. Now we don't have the total anywhere. What do we have? 4 seconds, 4 seconds. Each one was about 4 seconds. You see, 4 seconds for every single one. So 4 times 15 is, well, just about a minute to do that. So 1 minute to export 15 images. Okay, I think we've done all the testing on this Mac. Let's jump to the new one. Now, I suggest we load up this image with lots of diffuse and sharpen. I've reset that. We'll go to no AA filter, sharpen demosaicing. Add another one, which was lens deblur medium. Add another one, which is dehaze with 10 iterations. And let's see how long this takes to export. So single image, we have my usual social media export. I'm not going to put 2400 pixels. I'm going to go for a full size export, and I'm hoping this will be much quicker than the previous one. So export processing, off we go. I'm trying to redraw that while it's exporting. It's exporting one on one. Now this took ages. Remember, 71 seconds for the diffuse. The first one was 3 seconds. The second one was 71 seconds. Then another 70 seconds. And altogether we're about 150 seconds, the total. I'm trying to keep this going live. I might have to pause. There we are, twice. So we have half the time here, which is consistent with the Geekbench score being twice as fast. So this is on GPU. And it does say CPU. Now this is where I'm wondering why. Maybe there's something wrong in my settings. Maybe some of you will know exactly how we can gain sometimes. I'm going to get this a little bit bigger. Yes, I will let it, because I'm saving it to, it is a file, a folder on my iCloud drive. It took 69 seconds, which is about half the time it took the previous ones. So that's good. I was actually expecting a little bit more. Let's export then to the disk. We have these 15 images with the same settings. We're about 4 seconds per images, which was a whole minute. And let's see how it's going to chew through these. It's actually going much faster. I can see this going through. What can I read? 1.5 seconds. Is that it per file? 11, 12. So this is quite good, actually. Very acceptable. It's a 14 million pixel sensor, so we are exporting quite a lot. It's about 1 second, 1.1 seconds. So we're going actually much faster. 1.1 seconds times 15, but in less than 20 seconds, we got it all done. So that is very satisfactory. Okay, so I did redid those exports. I actually checked the use all device memory, which on the previous Intel computer froze everything. I couldn't browse in Safari. I couldn't write a text. The keyboard wasn't working. It just froze the computer during export. But here, I can actually do it, and the computer's working, and I've actually gone down from 69 seconds to 54. I've tried these options. The best one is default. There we are. The other export times are slower, so default is the best on this machine. Use all device memory works for me, and so that is better than what I was doing previously. So sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to sign off. I hope this video has helped um, for anyone who's interested in the new Mac Mini computers. I think it's a big bonus for me, so I'm quite pleased with this one. I need to go through more testing, obviously, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what it's capable of. Okay, I'll see you soon then. Cheerio.